Dominick here. I'm going to be going over how to use Google spreadsheets or any spreadsheet for that matter to create pixel art. Now, pixels are your little tiny squares, dots almost, that are on your screens, your computer screens or your phone screens or TV screens, and they make the colors and they make things detailed or not. What we're going to do is use Google Sheets and make these cells that are in them, pretend those are the pixels, then we're going to create pictures. I have one here already, the Cubs logo that I've made. And I've done this by making a spreadsheet, put in a certain color based on a number that I type, like a paint by numbers type situation here. If I type in any number 0 through 9, it corresponds to the colors, and these colors I also have over here as a key to remind me what they are. You don't have to use numbers, we can use letters as well, and we'll go over that. We're going to show you how to set this up so your students can create their diagrams, their pictures on Google Sheets as well. Go to a clean sheet. This is what it'll look like to start with, right? I'm going to highlight a bunch of columns. I'm going to leave A and B for right now because that's where I want to put my key. So I don't want to highlight those. I'm going to highlight all the rest of the columns, and I'm going to right click, and it's going to give me the option to resize them. So if I resize them, let's say we shrink them down to 15. Okay, that fits at a reasonable size. I could go even smaller. You could go all the way down, I don't know, let's go to 2. And you can have them really tiny. And again, the smaller you get, the more detailed the pictures are going to be. So some kids may want to try to make it really tiny squares so that way they can make really detailed pictures. But we don't need to go that small. We'll go 15 for right now. Now, these aren't squares right now. So in order to make a good picture, we want them to be squares so it doesn't look distorted. So just for our sake, I'll go down to 100, and I'll resize these to be the exact same 15 size. All right, here's my workspace, right? Now, I haven't told it to do anything yet. If I type in numbers, nothing's going to happen. To do this, I need to highlight the columns where all the work's going to be. Again, I'm not doing A and B. I don't want to highlight the rows because that would include A and B. Highlight all of these columns, format, conditional formatting, and this is where we get to tell it what we want it to do. So anything in this space, I can say either a number or a letter. I can go to is equal to, if I want a number. I type in 1. Now I go down here and I say, what color do I want if I type in the number 1? Let's just do red. I'm also going to change the text to that same color though. That way the number doesn't show up. So now I click done. Now anywhere in this selection that I made, if I type a 1, it will make that color. And again, the number 1 doesn't show up because it blends in. I recommend before you start doing all this, you make your key on the side first. That way you know what colors you want to do. So if you want numbers, just line it up with 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So if I said number 1 is going to be red, I would just say right here, I'd fill that block in red, and I know 1 is red. However, if you want to use letters, so let's say I want to go A, B, C, D, etc. If I want to use those letters, in which case I might want to make my cells a little bit bigger, that's all right. I'm going to say, all right, A is going to represent red, I'll put that over here. B is going to represent blue, whatever you want it to be. Make your key first on the side, and then that way, when you go to highlight your columns that you want to put your conditional formatting in, you can do that all at once. I can just click here and say, all right, so if cell is exactly, now this time I'm doing a letter, if it's B, I want it to do the blue, not text and background. And then I can just click add another rule right away. If text is exactly C, I can make it the green. And you can do that all at once by referencing your key over here. Once you have all that done, you can then go in these cells. And if I type in, again, I still have 1 as red. If I do B or C, Now, there are ways to make this maybe more difficult or less difficult for students based on, how their abilities might be or how their interests might be. We have, I would say, a fairly detailed size cells right now, right? The smaller you get, the more detailed it'll be. So one way you can make this a little bit easier for some students if needed is just go with a larger cell. So if I resize this to be something a little bit larger, let's say 50, okay? And then I need to do this side as well, all the way down, and go all the way down to 100, or whatever your workspace is. But if I change that to 50 as well, now you've got a little bit bigger pixels, so to speak. And now they can make a picture, and it doesn't have to be so detailed. They don't need so many spots, but then they can just start to fill in through here whatever they want it to look like. And it doesn't have to be as perfect looking as the more detailed one. Okay? That's one way you can make it a little bit easier for some students. Another way is, besides A, B, C, D, E, maybe you just want to use the row of letters somehow. Q, W, E, R, T, Y, your QWERTY keyboard, or whatever row you want to use. That way students can just go straight across the row. Or if you want students to become familiar with the keyboard, they can just find A, B, C. They can look around and click it. The one advantage of using letters instead of numbers is you're going to have more options, right? You probably don't want kids typing in 11 or 12. It takes a little bit longer. We want just one letter, one number to type in each time. Some other tips for this as you go along, besides resizing the rows and columns first, adjusting the size. You can relate this to a math class. You can talk about ratios here and pixels per square inch, PPI. You see that anytime you go to buy a phone or anything like that, they give those specs about the phone where it tells you how many pixels per square inch they have, and that'll tell you how detailed the pictures can be, because the more pixels per square inch, the more detailed it'll look. So there's an application to math to tie that in, and students can look things up and make their decisions for themselves. And then also, after you've made this, might seem kind of tedious at first, but after you've made one, you can just share that out as a template. Once I've made this sheet right here, it doesn't matter what I design. I can delete all of this, and I can still just type in these numbers to get these colors. So make your one sheet, use that as a template. Don't edit that one. Share that out so students get a copy of it, and then you'll always have that one ready to go for them with those colors. All right. If you have any questions about it, of course, reach out. Otherwise, happy creating.